실제로 많은 사람들의 우려가 결국 불평등에 귀착될 것이다. 지금도 전 세계적인 이 불안, 극단주의 이런 것들의 주 원인이 이 경제적 불평등, 양극화에 있다는 주장이 많습니다. 저도 사실 거기에 많이 공감을 가지고 있어요. 이제 어떻게 극복할 거냐? 저는 일단은 이게 일자리를 나누는 노동시간을, 개개인의 노동시간을 단축하는 방향으로 가는 것이 일단 하나의 방법이라고 생각이 되고, 또 한 가지는 결국은 엄청난 자본을 투자하는 이 거대 기업, 정말로 기술 개발 능력이 있는 소수의 뭐라 그럴까, 선택된 사람들, 이 사람들만이 엄청난 부를 누리게 될 가능성이 높지 않습니까? 그러면 이걸 제지할 수도 없고, 그렇다고 여기에다 세금으로 하는 건 저항이 심할 수 있고, 그렇다고 거기서 엄청난 일자리가 생기는 것도 아니고, 결국 저는 또 하나의 방법으로 이 생각을 해봤어요. 결국 국가 공동체가 이 산업 발전에 지금은 되게 지원을 했는데, 공공 부분에서 투자를 해서 그 수익의 이익을 상당 부분을 나눌 필요가 있지 않냐, 좀 쉐어할 필요가 있겠다. 그래서 얼마 전에 제가 예를 들면 알 수 없는 영역에 인공지능 관련 산업 또는 기업의 대규모 투자를 국민의 국부펀드로, 국민의 자본으로, 국가 자본으로 투자를 해서 그 지분을 상당 부분 확보하는 게 어떨까. 세금을 걷는 것도 하나의 방법이지만 아예 사업 자체에 공공이 참여하는 건 어떨까, 이런 생각을 해봤습니다. 이건 어떻게 생각하십니까? 제가 그 얘기했다가 공산주의자라고 비난을 많이 받았어요.
I'm not an economist, so I can't offer an expert opinion on such economic matters. What I can say is that very often in these situations in history, you have to overcome resistance from the big corporations and the big companies that they tell you, you cannot do it except the way we want to do it. And again, if you look at, say, the 19th century, so during the Industrial Revolution, the big companies, they used child labor. They sent children aged 8, 10, 12 to work in factories, in coal mines, something I think that you personally have also experienced. And when you tell the companies, this is not a good idea, it's better to send the children to school, the companies say, no, this doesn't make economic sense. If we spend so much money on sending children to school, whereas our competitors don't, in other countries or in other companies, they send them to work at age 8, we will be left behind in the economic race. And this was a very strong argument. But in the end, people realized that actually sending the kids to school at age 10, it's not only the ethical thing to do, it's also make good economic sense. That it's much more, the country will be much more rich in the end if you send 10-year-old kids to school to get a good education than if you send them to the factory to work. So this required government action to tell the companies, you can't employ children. And this required a lot of government investment because somebody need to build this huge educational system. But in the end, it also made very good economic sense. And we are now in an analogous, in a similar situation. Of course, it's very different this time. We can't just repeat the same formula that worked 50 years ago or 100 years ago. But the principle that we need government to step in is important because, as I said, nobody knows what the job market would look like in 10 years. What we do know is that it will be very volatile, fluid. It will keep changing. Like the AI revolution is not a one-time event. It's not like we now have the big AI revolution. We'll have a few years, very rough years, until finally there is a new equilibrium and everything settles down. No, AI is nowhere near its full potential. This revolution is just beginning. So we will see very big changes in the labor market, in the job market, in the next 5 years, even bigger changes in 15 years, even bigger changes in 30 years as AI becomes more and more intelligent and replaces humans in more and more tasks. So people will need to constantly retrain and reinvent themselves and change jobs. And the big question is, or two questions. First of all, who is going to finance all this retraining? And who is going to support people while they are in transition? Like, I lost my old job to an AI. There is a new job, but I need like 6 months or 1 year to retrain. Who is going to support me in the meantime? And it's not just financial support. Even more important is psychological support, because it's going to be a very stressful world. You know, change is stressful. And having to change again and again throughout your life, you cannot rely on just, okay, now I know, now I have the knowledge that will keep me throughout my life, now I have the profession, the job, I will do this until I'm old. This is gone. You have to change again and again. It's very stressful. So I think we'll also need much more investment in mental health. We already saw it also with COVID, that it's very important to remember the mental aspects of such big crisis. That it's easy for people to focus on just the material conditions, but taking care of people's mental health is equally important. So I think in the coming years, governments will need to step in to provide both a kind of new education system for adults, so they can keep learning and changing throughout their lives, and also a much more robust mental health system to support people in very stressful times.